Hey guys, this is Doug here from the Produce Club. So something I wanted to talk about is this is based on some conversations I've had with people that work in tech, including people that work in AI. And this is not a personal insult at all against these people. These are friends and family, and this isn't personal. This is just a difference in philosophy, which I think explains a lot of the gap between the people that work in AI and just in general that work in tech when they're trying to come up with these products, and in people that just don't really buy into this. And I don't want to speak for anyone else other than myself, but I do think it's important that I articulate my thoughts a little bit about this, because I do think this really explains why they're flawed in their approach in terms of where they're coming from. Because when people that work in tech will tell us about their solution to this and this and that, let's say they'll say that, like, okay, if we have these fully automated driverless cars where nobody drives, that leads to safer roads, right? They'll say that that's going to lead to a world in which nobody dies in traffic accidents because everything's automated, right? And I'm willing to admit that, like, well, maybe it is possible that we would actually overall, if everyone was just using driverless cars and they were really good, that we could have a safer world overall. But when we express doubt of this, they'll say it's because we don't trust the technology. They'll say, like, oh, well, we don't trust that the technology is advanced enough that they'll be able to make these cars that are very safe. And what I want to make people understand is that it's not that I don't trust the technology. It's the fundamental premise that I don't trust, right? It's the feature of driverless cars that makes them driverless cars is that we don't have the same autonomy that we have when we're driving cars, right? And I'm using cars as an example, but this can be applied to like anything else pretty much. The premise of the people that are making this technology to automate society, that automate stuff in society, they say, okay, we'll do the thinking for you, and we'll free you from the ability to do the thinking that you need to do. And that'll actually make things safer. That'll make things more efficient. That'll make things better, right? And I just reject that framing overall, because I don't think that more efficient is necessarily better. Right. And now you might hear that and say, well, what if they are safer, blah, blah, blah. But I can think of a number of things already within that premise that will distract from that. Like, even just from that basic example, well, what if because we don't have this control, what if something does start to go wrong with this car, and because we don't know how to drive, because we haven't been driving, because we've been relying on these cars, then how do we fix the problem, right? And that's such a very basic thing. And you might think, well, this is unlikely to happen because this technology is so good. But as long as you admit that this is possible, which I think most people working in tech would, as long as you admit that it's possible that something could go wrong, that the car could somehow go haywire, be hacked into, or whatever, there could be some kind of unforeseen variable. As long as you assume that we're not perfect as a human species, that we're not like literally going to make technology that's going to be 100% perfect, then why would you? Then you'll have to admit that this is possible. And I would rather be in a situation where I have some control to fix the situation, even if I'm going to be in more dangerous situations overall. And I think this is something that a lot of people that that want to optimize things, that want to make things so efficient, that they just don't fully understand. They don't understand that people like having, freedom to think. They like having control. Again, I'm speaking for myself here. There's some people that probably would like to take away some of their control. Some people that probably, feel very stressed over certain things and would like to take away some of their thought. But there's a big slippery slope in doing that, right? Because once you take away your thought in some areas, then, you start thinking less and less in general. That could apply to, broader things as well. And if you just stop thinking altogether, then you're not really a free human being anymore. If you're not thinking about anything, you're just under the control of these technologies and the people that make these technologies. You're not like being a autonomous being in a free society, right? And we can't, if we want to talk about free societies, if we want to have democracies, we want to have rights, we want to make decisions about our communities and our families and ourselves, for that matter, we need to be able to be free beings, right? So if we can't just sign that over in the name of things being efficient and things being optimal. And this is the key thing that I just think these people in Silicon Valley don't understand, because they think it's just that, we don't trust the technology. We don't think the technology is good enough. No, it's not. In many cases, I do think the technology is good. I think in some cases, I'm worried that technology is going to be too good, that it's going to convince people to do this more and more. That's going to convince people to say, I'll just be reliant on the technology, right? And then we get into a situation where, maybe over time, we don't even know how to do the thing that the technology is replacing. We just get so used to that we don't even know how to do it ourselves. So that when it's time for something new or something goes wrong, we don't know how to fix it. And we just lose out on the skills. We lose out on the valuable life experiences, the valuable growth that we get from learning these skills. That's the other part of it as well, right? Like, you want to talk about like stories of successful people, or just, stories of people that someone you might look up to. They've probably gone through some kind of struggle of some kind. And that doesn't mean that we should all struggle too, just like how they struggled. But what it means is that, they grew from that experience and they become someone that inspired people, someone to look up to. So if you want to become a person that is, able to inspire people, it can be someone to look up to. That means you're going to be someone that's going to struggle through something, and you're going to show people how to overcome those struggles. But if you're just trying to optimize these struggles away, you're trying to just make these struggles, when I say struggle, I'm talking broadly, right? That can be anything. It can be something minor, it can be something major. But like, if you're trying to just optimize this stuff away, then people aren't going to have the tools to be equipped to deal with this stuff. And that's where the problem comes from. Like, this isn't even really that complex, honestly. Like, this is something that people should be able to figure out with, like, you don't have to go to college to figure this stuff out. Like, this is the sort of stuff we can read about in fables as kids, the stuff that, we get taught, hopefully by, positive influences in our life from our friends and family or whoever else. But I think we've just fallen so much for the bait that, there's an AI-powered solution for everything. And that if we make AI good enough, that means that we won't have to have any problems anymore, and we'll just get to live in this perfect utopia. But as I said, the problem isn't that I don't trust that the technology isn't good enough. It's that I don't think it's literally 100% perfect. And even if it were 100% perfect, I think that would be an incredibly boring world in which, it wouldn't be very fun to live in. I would rather live in a world where it's not 100% perfect. I would rather live in a world where the technology is used as a tool. It's not used as something that we have to follow. It's not used as a guide that we just constantly have to follow to outsource our decision making to. And I can go on and on about this. I know I've already rambled a long time, but for anyone out there that again, that is working in tech, that is interested in this, that does, like, I know that a big part, I know that the purpose of working in tech usually is to help solve problems. At least that's the sales pitch of tech. And a lot of people that work in tech don't get into it because they, they're trying to control society or whatever. They actually do get into it because they have very good motivations. But all I ask is that you just keep this in mind, that, like, not everything has to be some sort of optimal solution, right? Like, you want to make sure that people have control over something, and that people have skills and tools to help overcome problems. Like, that's what's most important. So just think about that when you're working for these companies that are just doing whatever they can to make as much revenue as possible. When you're working for these things that, they see it seems like there's so much potential. Like, just understand that not everyone is going to be thinking about this the same way you are. And, the very tools, like, a big part of the reason that people are interested in tech in the first place is because they can use all this, thinking to solve these problems. They can think outside the box. They can act creatively, but understand that the rest of us have the ability to do that too. And the tech should make that more possible for us. It shouldn't just outsource our thinking. It shouldn't just replace our thinking. And if you don't agree with that, then I fundamentally disagree with you. I'm sorry, I just do. Like, at that point, I just think you're wrong. And I think that the consequences of you being wrong could be very harmful in many ways. So that's where I am. And I fundamentally don't agree with the idea of optimization when it comes to people, when it comes to a lot of the things that we do in our lives, because look, we can certainly make things easier, but we have to, this is part of the world we live in. Things aren't always going to be optimal. And that's where a lot of the cool stuff comes in. That's where a lot of the opportunities for learning and growing come in, are for the things that are not optimal, that are not efficient. So I always like to say, that I'm more of a fan of unoptimization. It's kind of a joke, but there's something to it, right? I really do mean something by it. I don't want everything in my life to be optimal. There's certain things I would like to be more optimal. But at the end of the day, there's not going to be one perfect solution for everything. And I think that's beautiful, honestly. I think that's part of the beauty of life, is that there's no one perfect solution for everything. And for every person too, we all have our different things that we do. We have all of our different strategies. And so, no one's the same. I think that's really cool. I think that's awesome. I think that's something that should be inspiring to you if you're, whatever you're trying to do, is that, you can learn from other people, but you're still going to have to be able to do things in your own way. You can't just copy what someone else says or what some automated tool says. All right. I hope you guys have a great day. This is Doug here from the Proteus Club. Come to our workshops. We got our launch party June 2nd in Manhattan. I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to do a lot of things inefficiently, but it'll be very fun. All right. Peace.